liberally from sports terminology. We often hear conversations dotted with phrases such as first and 10, goal line stand, fourth quarter. And language isn't the only thing. As we compete, we learn about our team members and about ourselves. We learn about the level of commitment necessary to win in a tough environment. We also share the same dreams, the dreams of realizing success.
You see, I had dreams and I had visions before I went to Vietnam and when I came back from Vietnam. And my one dream was just to be able to be the best football player that I could be along the way. And like anything else, I had established some goals and objectives to be able to attain it. The first one, of course, was to be able to make that team when I came back.
And in trying to be our best, we may have to overcome some obstacles along the way.
But the amazing thing is that we do have preconceived ideas. I mean, we have preconceived ideas about everything. We have preconceived ideas about people and about places and about things, about the past, about the future, about this meeting, about the changes, about the spin-off. I am about you, you have about me. See, sometimes those perceptions in which we have formulated within our lives truly can become barriers, not only in our lives, but also in our productivity. For you see, it was a barrier that I had to face throughout most of my playing career. For the perception of one Rocky Bleier was that he was always just too small, too short, and too slow, and not big enough to be able to play this game of football. Not only on a professional level, but also on a collegiate level. And we had a brand new coach that year, a coach by the name of Ara Parsegian, who had just come in from Northwestern University. Actually came in quite late in the year. And he really didn't have a whole lot of time to get a grip and a grasp of his new recruits. And so the best that he could do was to go through the files that had accumulated over the last several months. And as he was going through the files, starting with the A's, working his way down into the B's, all of a sudden he came to one. Rocky Bleier. And he started to read it. And the more he read, the bigger his eyes became, because he couldn't believe his good fortune. Well, unfortunately, reality set in for him quite quickly when I walked through that doorway and met him for the first time. And from his point of view, that meeting went something like this. No, he said. You're not. Oh, but I am. Oh, don't tell me that. Well, why not? Because, in fact, he said, look at you. He said, you're not the same person that I read about over here. He said, you're not big enough. You're not fast enough. You will never be able to compete on this level. A preconceived idea.
Being in the Steelers' archive room reminds me of the fact that the perception of the Steelers from their inception in 1933 and for the next 40 years was that of losers. It was always the same old Steelers. Wait till next year. When they hired Chuck Noll as their new head coach, things changed. Now, in 1969, they went outside of that team and brought in a guy by the name of Chuck Noll, who actually came in from a winning organization. Came in from the Baltimore Colts, had just been to the Super Bowl. And what he brought to that team was truly visionary leadership.
Leadership is defined as the ability to influence another. Now, leadership was something I learned when I was in the service. And for any person out there that had been in the service, you know, it was drilled into us every day, 24 hours a day. And for me, it was defined as this. When you're put in charge, you take command. And when in command of the situation, of your life, of your business, of a company or platoon, you do what is right. But the optimum word there is really courage. Because unfortunately today, courage has become such a bastardized word. There's really no meaning. We hear it too often. And so to come up with a definition of courage, the best that I could do was to define what courage is not. For you see, courage is not being a coward and running away from a situation, nor is courage being a fool and running headstrong into a situation without knowing what the circumstances and what the information is. But courage is really that moment in time, ladies and gentlemen, in which we take what information that we have and we implement it to move forward.
Leadership can come at different times, in different forms, and by different people, but it consistently must come from your most productive and talented people.
And he went out in that draft in 1969.